3.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mikhail Ivanov, and I'm the VP of Business Development for Arc Mobile. I'm here to tell you how Arc Mobile is going to make restaurant payments faster, easier, and more secure. Let me tell you a little bit about how this concept got started. Tyler is a floor manager at Untitled, the restaurant his dad owns here in Chicago, one of the biggest and busiest restaurants in the whole city. And they see the following 3 scenarios unfold day in and day out. For example, number 1, group dining. A group of 10 friends go out to eat, they have a great time, but at the end of the night, they've all had a little bit to drink, and they have to figure out how they're going to split up the bill. Scenario number 2, a business dinner. You have to figure out a way to split the check, to pay the check without it ever hitting the table and your client wanting to pay for dinner. And scenario number 3, a dinner before the show. You have to get out quickly, but your waiter has conveniently disappeared, and now you have to figure out how to get out of there and make your time. These situations are not only frustrating for the diners, but they're infuriating for the restaurant management staff, because they clog up the tables and they stop them from setting the next group of diners. If all these people had Arc in their life, their dinner would look a little bit differently. That was a fuck up. So let me walk you through the process. Here you see the interface of the smartphone app. You enter the check number, which pulls up your specific bill. You select the items that you've had, and you can also split the specific appetizers that you've shared between somebody with the table. You select the tip amount, which you're willing to pay, and then enter the PIN number for your pre-stored credit card. And with all of that, your payment is done. Now you have the digitized common card, which allows you to leave some feedback to the restaurant. This feedback is then directly wired to the restaurant floor manager and gives him your impressions of the restaurant right away. The second person now gets the bill, punches in the bill number, and decides to pay for the rest of the bill with one single click. His bill payment is done. Something important to know, that this whole process is 100% digital and 100% secure. We virtually eliminate the chance of credit card skimming, 70 to 80% of which happen in restaurant locations, which eliminates chargebacks and fraud related to restaurants. Now, we've already seen that the users get a quick and easy checkout experience. What do we get? We get 60 cents flat fee, paid 100% by the restaurants. And what does the restaurant get for those 60 cents? Let's delve a little bit more into the benefits. We reduce average checkout time by 13 minutes. We increase server productivity because the servers now can spend time selling products and entertaining customers rather than queuing behind the POS swiping cards. We eliminate chargebacks. When a customer now wants to dispute a charge, the restaurant has double authentication provided by the user's phone and the PIN they use for their credit cards in order to verify that it was the customer themselves. And then you have real-time data and feedback through the digitized common card we already talked about. This idea we've been working on this idea for a while now. We're proud to say that we are integrated with 2 point-of-sale systems. Arius, an innovative tablet-based provider, and Micros, one of the industry leaders, which gives us access to 25% of restaurants in the United States. We're live in 2 restaurants, Untitled, which we've already talked about. It has been the lab for our testing and promotion so far. And Union Sushi, our first Micros location, which gives us an ideal showroom for the next 15 restaurants we have queued up, ready to deploy Arc. We just want to see it live in a Micros restaurant. We have 400 people downloaded our app, and 204 of those have already paid for more than $10,000 worth of items at Untitled. It's important to note that all of this progress has happened over several weekends in April and May where we've been actively pushing the app at Untitled. So I've told you a little bit about the past. Let me bring forward my colleague Chris, who will tell you more about the future.
So we're well aware that when you're looking at a mobile payment system like this, we are dealing with a two-sided network, where we need users and we need restaurants. So let me go ahead and start off by talking about the users. Initially, when we're only in a couple of restaurants in Chicago, we know that traditional marketing is not going to be very efficient. So our initial growth plan for users is to first of all have marketing materials in the check presenter, but then what we found to be very effective is incentivizing waiters $5 per new user. Now this isn't just something that we're thinking might help. We've actually done several different tests of different incentivization systems, and we've found that this $5 mark actually yields a gigantic increase in the amount of users who both download and pay with the application. So in our infancy, this has been proven to be an effective system. Now as we grow, and we're actually in a critical mass of restaurants, we can continue to incentivize waiters. We can hopefully have users, we can incentivize them to invite their friends. What we can also do is we can start doing locally targeted and demographically targeted ads through Google and Facebook. We can also do those same types of locally targeted advertisements in foodie apps such as Yelp and Zagat. Now on the restaurant side, what we're seeing is the opportunity initially to start working with the network of Tyler and his father, who were mentioned earlier. These two are really well connected in the Chicago restaurant scene, and have helped us to get our initial clients and our initial queue who are getting ready to come on board now that we can show them a Micros restaurant. Additionally, we have been pounding the pavement and have our first clients who are interested in coming on board who are not from the network of Tyler and his father, proving that we can go to a completely brand new client and get them interested in the value proposition that ARC brings to the table. Now, in the long term, what we're looking at is bringing on dedicated sales reps. We're also looking at partnering with liquor distributors who are in every single restaurant in the city and who are a gigantic, powerful sales force. We also have the opportunity for co-partnerships and co-branding, as well as traditional digital and physical marketing, except unlike the users, here we're going to target spaces such as trade shows and restaurant locations where business owners are going to get information. So now that we've talked a little bit about how we're going to acquire the market, let's talk about the opportunity this market presents. What we've done is take a look at our target demographic. And for us, those are full-service restaurants that have high table turns and are technology-forward restaurants. Just in Chicago, we've found that there are over 3,000 restaurants fitting this description, that if you look at the unit economics that Dom will go over later, represent over $40 million in potential annual revenue for ARC Mobile. Now, as we continue to grow, if we look at the top 30 markets in the United States, these restaurants make up over 53,000 total restaurants and represent over $706 million in potential annual revenue. So there's a major opportunity here. Of course, because there is a major opportunity, we're not the only company pursuing this space. So when we look at our competitors, we have a few different buckets. First of all, we have companies such as Level Up and Square. Now they are very specifically going after quick service restaurants, and they are meant for the point of sale systems. They use different types of dongles and QR codes, and that's where we're different. We're for full service restaurants, and we're directly integrated with the POS. You have several new startups such as Cover and Dash, and they're really trying to be the Uber of payments for restaurants, where you pay without even seeing the bill. You can pay in advance. Now they're new, it'll be interesting to see what they do, but they have a very different business plan than we do, at least at this point in time. Now finally, you have Tabbed Out. Now Tabbed Out has got over $6 million in funding from your colleagues at NEA. They also work in full service restaurants. But where we really differ from them is how we're optimized. They started for bar settings, and so they're a company that comes in, you show the bartender that you have started a bill, he goes and puts it into their system, and then you communicate with him throughout the night. With ARC, you simply enter the check number at the end of the night, even if you have not been using this for the rest of the evening. You pick out your items, you pay, and you go. Now we have other ideas on how we're different than these companies, and we're very happy to address them in Q&A. So finally, let's talk about the team who's going to get this done. So you have Jimmy and Joe, who have over 40 years of experience in development and architecture. On the business side, you have Misho, Dominic, and myself, who have a variety of experience in finance, operations, business development, and marketing. And then you'll have Tyler. Tyler has over 8 years' experience working and running a variety of different restaurants as a floor manager. We also have an advisory team. We have Art Mendoza and Mike Haley, who have been instrumental in getting us into many of the restaurants that they're networked with. We have Mike Haley and Bob Gibson, who have gotten us into Aries and Micros, and also made introductions to other POS systems. I'm sorry, Paul Gibson and Paul Perry. Then Bradley Trichta, who's been instrumental in setting us up for explosive growth by helping us to create structure. Now that we've gone over that, Dominic will talk about the financials.
Sure. So the missing ingredient is capital. We're asking for $1 million to capture the Chicago market and prepare ARC's infrastructure for a national rollout. Now, with $1 million,
You're good.
with $1 million, we'll be able to get to 100 restaurants and 50,000 users by June 2014. This value has been based on conversations we've had with key analog companies, including Grubhub and Belly, which gained over 200,000 users at 1,400 businesses in under 9 months. Now, the key buckets that we'll be spending money on will be sales and marketing, ongoing product development, and IT infrastructure development. Now, we'll also include a slight cushion for cost overruns and potential funding uncertainties. Now, because sales and marketing is going to be such a key component of our success, I'd like to quickly drill in. On the traditional marketing side, we're going to sponsor industry nights so we raise awareness with servers. We're going to see the ARC name on CTA trains the way that Grubhub did in their early days. We're going to pound the pavement beyond the 30 or 40 restaurants we can get into through Tyler's network. Then, of course, we'll supplement this with digital marketing to raise brand awareness on the consumer side. So, to put this investment in perspective, I'd like to walk you through the unit economics of a single restaurant. Now, our average restaurant has 200 seats. They're going to turn their table 3 times per day. Now, that's per day, not per night, so this is actually a fairly conservative assumption in the restaurant industry. Now, that'll result in over 200,000 patrons being served, which will generate nearly over $13,000 in annual revenue, assuming we get to a 10% penetration rate. Now, the 10% penetration rate is the key linchpin variable here. We've come up with this assumption based on consumer surveys of over 170 individuals. Of respondents, over 70% said they were likely to use a mobile payment application in a restaurant setting. The number one reason why someone hadn't already used a mobile payment in the restaurant setting is just because of lack of awareness. So how does this scale to a full on a national level? Well, like we said, in year 1 we'll be at 100 restaurants in Chicago. And if this is all we ever do, then we're actually going to be fairly happy because we're confident we can be acquired as the land grab for the restaurant mobile payment space plays out over the next few years. But we can do much better than this. In fact, by year 2, with additional funding, we'll be in 6 cities and over 700 restaurants. And in year 5, if we continue to execute on our plan, we'll be at over 7,000 restaurants. You'll pay for a business dinner in New York, for dinner before the show in San Francisco, and some of you in the back row might pay for a bachelor party dinner in Las Vegas. So the one thing we haven't talked about is the fact that if we have insight into every single dish at every restaurant in 30 cities, we'll be well positioned to be the big data play for restaurants. And if we can be the big data play for restaurants, we'll be an attractive exit for a number of platforms. This actually shows precedent transactions over the last few years. As you can see, names like Visa, PayPal, Google, and Apple have all been active acquirers in the space. And transaction activity has actually increased over the past years. And what this is important is for what you don't see. You don't see names like OpenTable and Groupon, which are increasingly interested in finding ways to provide instant feedback and content and merchant analytics. And we think we can provide that and would be an excellent exit. So with that, we're ARC. We'd love to be your partner, and we're open for questions. Thank you.
Again, we ran long. Let's do it one more time.
Yep, 14, 13.
Chris, you ran very, 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 very.
Yeah, Misho came in at just under 4. Chris went
Right.
5.
Yeah.
Dom was about 4.
Okay, I'll get that.
Yeah, stop that.